Pakistan's Foreign Minister Bilawal Bhutto Zardari has rejected the U.S. State Department's listing of his country as a state of particular concern for religious freedoms.
Mr. Bhutto spoke in a wide-ranging, exclusive interview with CNA. He accused America of bias in labeling nations it deems to have engaged in severe violations of religious freedoms, and questioned why India escaped the list.
And Mr. Bhutto also outlined the political and economic challenges Pakistan faces post-pandemic. And he started off by explaining to CNA's Don Tan his party's commitment to dealing with religious extremism and terrorism.
So you don't need America to point out the problems that we in Pakistan face with religious extremism, with terrorism, and that's a cause that is dear to my heart, that is at the front and center of my party's political manifesto. We're absolutely cognizant of the challenges we face, but we're also serious as a government, as a state, as political parties, that wherever such incidents take place, that we take cognizance of them and we try and remedy the situation. From the list of countries that you just mentioned, it does seem that this is a slightly biased and politicized list. Otherwise, I do wonder why India is not on the list when the human rights, but particularly religious freedoms for their Muslim minority has been a source of concern internationally, and where religious bias is a policy of the state, curtailing religious freedoms of Muslims within their country and in the disputed territory of illegally occupied Kashmir, is a policy of the state. They're bad people everywhere. What sets you apart is how does your government respond? So I believe that an unbiased report, free of political considerations, would have given this report by the United States more authority, more gravity. That's not to say that we in Pakistan are not cognizant of the challenges that we face, but we're serious about facing those challenges, not because the United States says so or anybody else says so, but that's because we believe that's important for the future of our country.
Well, transparency is important for good governance, Minister Bhutto, and you have said that you would like to see engagement with India on a peaceful basis. You would hope that there could be more peaceful engagement. That you also said that India has changed. So what did you mean by that?
I mean, India has changed in the sense that there's an India that I grew up with that was in our neighborhood. It was the largest democracy in the world. It was a secular country, a home for all its citizens. Hindus, Muslims, Christians, Buddhists. Unfortunately, the India I see today is not the India I recognized growing up. This is a Hindu supremacist India. This is a increasingly fascist India. It is not only hostile to Muslims outside its borders, it is hostile to Muslims within its borders. It's not only hostile to the Muslims within its borders, it's hostile to the Christians within its borders, to what they call the lower caste Hindus within their borders. And that makes it, it's unfortunate for a country like India with its history, its ancient history, to be following this path.
I look at the past and what's occurred is important, but looking ahead, important as well. The younger generation is here, and so much of Pakistan is made up of a very youthful generation of individuals who perhaps want change, who perhaps want harmony. What's it going to take? Can they play a role, the younger generation, in pushing for that?
I absolutely agree with you. I think the younger generation in India and in Pakistan are ready for peace with their neighbors. They want to see a peaceful, prosperous neighborhood. And unfortunately, both in India and in Pakistan, our younger generation are being fed a diet of the politics of hate, the politics of division, the politics of narrow populism, the pursuit of authoritarianism, the politics of lies. But I do have faith in the younger generation, and we will rise to meet the 21st century challenges to democracy. We will defeat the politics of division with the politics of unity. We will overcome the politics of hate with the politics of hope. We will defeat the politics of lies with the politics of truth. And our future is in the hands of the new generation of India and Pakistan. We hope for a tomorrow that is better than today.
The former Prime Minister, seen by some as rather divisive, and he's been criticized of populist politics as well, of pushing that, and beyond what's happened since his ouster earlier this year. Do you see a way out of what people on the outside see as Pakistan's political instability that doesn't involve violence, that won't involve unrest?
Unfortunately, this is a new politics that we're seeing around the world. Because I was brought up to believe in the politics of uniting to rule, not dividing to rule. I was brought up to believe in providing hope in order for people to aspire to a better future. What he believes in playing off is fear and hatred and pitching one off against the other. If you don't agree with him, then you're a thief, a robber, a dacoit, someone not worth talking to, someone not worth engaging with.
So you believe,
and when politics descends down this path, where you don't have a difference of ideas, you don't have a difference of ideology, you just hate the other person for being different than yourself, being different views than yourself, then that's not healthy for a society. It does lead to increased polarization and a form of political instability. But I have confidence in Pakistan's young democracy. We have overcome incredible challenges to our democracy in the past. We have sent dictator after dictator home of the sheer efforts of the people of Pakistan. So the new threat to democracy posed by such political characters, be it in Pakistan, be it in India, be it in America, or wherever you see them across the world, will have to be engaged with and defeated at their own game.
You've defended the fact that for the first time in Pakistan's political history, it removed a prime minister through a democratic constitutional process with this vote of no confidence. You feel that it was justified. Do you think, though, when people say Pakistan is spiraling into this chasm of instability, do you see it that way?
So I actually think it's incredibly important for us to develop institutional democracy, normative democracy, practicing democracy, and strengthen our institutions. So in the past, unfortunately, Pakistan has had this sordid history where the Democrats have been removed, but never through democratic means. Either through a coup, an overt coup, covert coup, either through the judiciary, but never through parliament. And we believe, me and my allies believe, that Mr. Khan was imposed upon us, that those elections were heavily fought, interfered with by institutions that should have never been involved in politics, and brought him into power. That's what resulted in Pakistan's instability. Otherwise, up until 2007, to this point, the first time Pakistan was developing its normative democracy, we were seeing not only constitutional reforms, institutional reforms. One civilian government was peacefully transferring to another civilian government. Even today, my call to Mr. Khan is that if he wants to do opposition, he should come to his job. He should return to Parliament and do political opposition from Parliament rather than running around on the streets trying to create chaos and uncertainty.
So you stand by Pakistan's democratic credentials and that there is no need for early elections, what he's called for?
So as far as Pakistan's democratic credentials are concerned, I definitely believe that the vote of no confidence is a significant milestone for Pakistan's democracy, that we chose democratic options rather than undemocratic options. Other than his call, as far as his call for early elections are concerned, I just want to give me one reason why it makes sense. Because from my point of view, the fact that for a third time in our history, Parliament is to complete its 5-year terms. I believe that's incredibly important for Pakistan's democratic transition. They say 3 is the magic number. If you achieve something 3 times, they won't be able to unwind it. So from 2007 to 2013 and from 2013 to 2018, Pakistan's democratic parliament completed their term. Mr. Khan has not been Prime Minister of our country for 6 months. Does that mean that we should wrap up all of Pakistan's assemblies just because of his ego? I don't think that serves our economy. I don't think that serves as far as stability is concerned. And I don't think it is a positive for our democratic development. It would actually kick us into reverse gear.